Paul Simon sat alone in his study, the faint scent of aged wood and musty records filling the air. His acoustic guitar leaned against the chair beside him, strings worn but loyal, much like an old friend. Outside, the world moved fast, a pace Paul had never fully adopted. Instead, he stayed in his creative orbit, a life punctuated by poetry and melody, tethered to a time when music felt like a revolution. At 81, there were no pop charts to chase, no restless concert tours beckoning him. Yet he couldn't quite settle into the stillness. The feeling, no, the need to create still pulsed through him. Over 6 decades, the music had come not just as a career, but as therapy, a companion. His songs, from The Sounds of Silence to Graceland, were fingerprints of his life, forever tied to stories both personal and distant. But tonight, as he stared at a blank page in his notebook, an unusual doubt hung over him like a shadow. He loved toiling over lyrics, leaning into the corners of his mind for the perfect phrasing. But now the words refused to come. When had songwriting grown so difficult? He gently touched the neck of his guitar, years of wear visible in its grooves. It anchored him, reminded him of every tiny New York apartment he had played in, every sunrise he had greeted after hours of feverish creativity. Inside were tokens, scraps of paper, handwritten notes, journals, tidbits from decades of artistry. As he rifled through them, he found a napkin scrawled with quick lyrics he had jotted down at a diner in Queens. He smiled, remembering how casually brilliance had once hit him between sips of coffee and stares out of a foggy window. He was just a kid back then, awkward but ambitious. And then there was the photo, tattered, edges curled with time, a younger Simon and Garfunkel standing shoulder to shoulder under a street lamp. His smile faded slightly. Partnerships, like songs, had their own rhythms and endings. Though his journey with art was behind him, it had shaped everything he became. From that box spilled more than memories. It awakened something in Paul. The truth was, he wasn't blocked. He had simply been searching too hard for something perfect, forgetting that his greatest songs began when he stopped trying and leaned into intuition. He picked up his guitar, the notes flowing again. This was his language, and it didn't matter if an audience waited. The music wasn't just what he did, it was who he was, and it always would be.